I feel like I've seen as many reviews of The Odyssey since they came out as anyone possibly could. But something that I haven't seen discussed nearly as much is one of Christopher Nolan's key inspirations, Martin Scorsese's The Last Temptation of Christ. The film explored the dual identity inside Jesus himself, both human and divine. As the opening text puts it, the dual substance of Christ, the longing, so human, so superhuman, of man to attain God. Everything in the film builds towards one final moment, the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. This is probably the most important moment in Christianity, because Jesus needs to sacrifice himself to atone for the sins of humanity, and Jesus is determined to do it. He believes this is what he was born to do. But the film's real turning point comes when he finally reaches the cross. At the moment of his crucifixion, Jesus hesitates. His face is still there, but for the briefest moment, his humanity speaks louder than his divinity. The final human desire of Jesus appears in the form of Satan, disguised as an angel. He tells Jesus God no longer requires his sacrifice. He can step down from the cross. He can marry, raise a family, grow old, and live the kind of life ordinary people do. Jesus chooses that life. He grows old surrounded by a family, only to realize he made the wrong choice. As the world begins to collapse around him, he calls out to God, asks for one more chance.
I didn't fight hard enough. I want to be your son. I want to pay the price. I want to be crucified and rise again. I want to be the Messiah.
There's no more hesitation, only his ultimate will and absolute determination. God answers with thunder, and suddenly we're back at the crucifixion. Jesus is still on the cross. He smiles and says, "It is accomplished." Then the film ends. If Homer's Odysseus is, as the poem's opening tells us, a complicated man, then Nolan finds that complexity in more than his intelligence, cunning, and pride. Odysseus is also a man who longs to exceed the limits of his own mortality. This is where the Odyssey becomes the inverse of the last temptation of Christ. Jesus is tempted by the possibility of being human, but ultimately chooses the divine purpose that requires him to give it up. Odysseus, by contrast, is repeatedly offered the chance to move beyond humanity, to escape age, death, and the limits of being mortal. And in the end, he chooses to be human. Early in the film, before Odysseus leaves Ithaca, Penelope asks him to stay. She offers another way out. They could just run away and live in exile. But Odysseus tells her that he has no choice. If he refuses to fight, Agamemnon will take his revenge on Telemachus and on Ithaca itself. But later in the film, as Odysseus struggles to get home and watches his men ignore his warning and slaughter the sacred cattle of Helios, Athena appears beside him. In the scene, she plays a similar role to Satan in the last temptation of Christ. Both of them give voice to something the hero has been trying to push down, a desire beyond the reach of reason. Athena questions him in a Socratic way. When you watch your man die, do you see a consequence or an opportunity? Why do you keep placing yourself above the gods? Why take all this responsibility onto yourself? And why don't you want to go home? These questions help us understand the Odysseus Nolan is building. He is incredibly intelligent, the cleverest of mortals. On his journey home, he's warned again and again that he'll be the only one to survive. Yet, he still defies the gods and uses everything he has to try to save his crew. Maybe it comes from guilt, responsibility, or a need to make up for what he has done. Whatever the reason, Odysseus keeps trusting his own judgment over the will of the gods. That is his hubris. He believes his intelligence can overcome even the gods. But beneath that hubris is an even deeper desire.
This world was never enough for you, was it, Coop?
When he encounters the sirens, he orders his men to bind him to the mast so he can hear their song. He later says the song has everything he desires. It speaks of every promise he has failed to keep. It tells him that, deep down, he does not truly want to go home. In Homer's Odyssey, the sirens do not simply represent temptation. Their song offers a kind of absolute knowledge, the promise of knowing everything that has happened and everything that is still to come. It reaches beyond human experience, beyond time itself. a fatal promise of infinite knowledge and divine wisdom. But that knowledge also leads to death, because if everything could be known, there'll be nothing left to discover. Life will lose the uncertainty that gives it purpose and direction. This kind of knowledge does not belong to human experience. It belongs to the realm of the gods. One of the defining conditions of being human is uncertainty. Because we don't know what lies ahead, we have the freedom to choose, to act, to give life meaning, and to become something other than what we already are. So when Odysseus admits that parts of him does not want to return home, it is not simply because he was drawn to adventure. It comes from the same hunger that has always defined him, the desire to know more, to exceed himself, to move beyond the limits of mortal life. In the Odyssey, Calypso is Odysseus' final temptation. Her island comes at the very end of his journey, just as Jesus' last temptation comes at the moment of crucifixion, when his purpose is almost fulfilled and another life suddenly becomes possible. Calypso offers him another life, a life that can escape death, age, and chaos. Odysseus can stay on her island and literally become a god. Odysseus blames the lotus, but Calypso tells him it can cloud the mind and stop the will, but it doesn't change who you are. You weren't ready to go home, for whatever reason. Here again, we see Odysseus isn't as determined to return home as we thought. His faith is not strong enough. Some part of him deep inside is still yearning for more. In the end, it's the sinner's token that brings him back, the one Penelope gave him. Just like the totem in Inception symbolized reality, a sinner's token symbolized love. It brings him back to his senses and reminds him who he truly is, and deep down, what truly matters. Because to be human is to love. He is ready to go home now. Love has always been one of the most powerful forces in Nolan's films. It can reach across dimensions and make the impossible possible. It can also hold someone inside a dream, a memory, or a life they are unable to leave behind. In The Odyssey, Nolan presents love as something even more fundamental, the thing that makes us human in the first place. Odysseus' final journey home is probably the most important scene in the film. As he drifted in the sea with no more than a couple of wooden planks, Calypso's narration follows him in a charismatic way. You are a man who needs to control his fate, but you cannot control this. You must give yourself to the storm, give yourself to Poseidon, and take your punishment. Give up the fight, give up the control, and live. It's a leap of faith you have not yet to meet. I think this is Nolan's true intention, to explore what humanity is capable of, and what lies beyond its reach. There's an order to the universe that exists beyond us, and we're not always able to understand it, let alone control it. This is what the German philosopher Immanuel Kant would call the unknowable realm, the ultimate reality that lies beyond the limits of human understanding. This is why Zeus's law matters, because in Homer's world, you never know how a god might appear. Zeus speaks through thunder, Poseidon speaks through the sea. The signs of divine are there. Human beings simply do not know how to read them. It's the classic existential philosophy Nolan has explored through his films. The idea that when reason reaches its limit, all that left is faith. Every journey Odysseus takes is leading to this moment. He is the smartest man. He uses every trick and every strength to fight his way home. And yet, it's only when he surrenders to uncertainty and takes the faith of the cosmic order he can finally go home. What makes Nolan's Odysseus complicated is that he understands the Zeus's law, but he is also the one who breaks it. He is the embodiment of reason and desire, ambition and limitation. He is the sea people who pushes the Bronze Age into chaos and entropy.
This entropy runs backwards.
He is the man who drags ordinary people into wars they never choose and die without ever understanding why. But he is also the man who returns. He is the return of the king, who restores order and lays foundation for a new civilization. I think what Nolan is trying to do here is exactly what Homer did 3,000 years ago, to create a work of art that places human nature and cosmic order at its heart, and carries our shared human story forward. Our modern world is not the first time human beings have lived in a deeply connected society. The Bronze Age world of Odysseus was also open, interconnected, and closely linked, until the entire system collapsed. 4 centuries later, Homer gave the lost world 2 stories. The Iliad is about war. The Odyssey is about survival and a long journey home. More importantly, they reveal the essence of what it means to be human, and the very foundation upon which civilization is built. Let's return one last time to Zeus's law, the ancient Greek duty of hospitality, and the idea that we should treat others as we would want to be treated. Confucius expressed something very similar. Do not do to others what you would not want done to yourself. And in many Kant's ethics, the same basic principle is still the same. Treat humanity, whether in yourself or another person, always as an end, and never merely as a means.
We at least have to take a moment to think about whether the means justify the ends any longer.
Civilization falls apart when people stop following this rule, and rebuilding civilization also requires us to return to it. That feels especially important now.
The new world order.
In the end, Odysseus chooses love. He gives up the need to rise above his humanity and finally accept his place within an order larger than himself. Perhaps that is the choice the film leaves us. To accept our limitations, to stop treating other people as a means to our own ends, and to choose love. Because that is where civilization begins.